Alright, welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day, a lovely night wherever you're from. And real quick, before we get started, I want to give a lovely shout out to the channel members on this channel. So thank you so much to these lovely commanders here that you see on screen. Thank you guys so much for choosing to support me even further. You guys' generosity and gratitude means a lot to me, so thank you guys so much. And I love seeing all the purple crowns. It's really awesome to see, so thank you. And if you're actually interested in becoming a lovely commander yourself, if you're interested in any of these cute little emotes, the loyalty crown badges, if you're interested in supporting me even further, I deeply appreciate it, so thank you if you choose to do so. That being said, as always, just watching the content is the best way that you can support me. Liking, subscribing, commenting, everything helps. I truly do love talking to all of you, and I try to talk to as much people as I can. So thank you guys so much for the support. And before we get started, I just want to apologize for this being a very, very late one. You know, was spending time with family, watching a lot of soccer games, really fun day. So, you know, I apologize for being late, but, you know, family's priority. And, you know, go Spain, go Argentina. Love you guys. And also, this is going to be a bit of a long one, so I'm going to be putting timestamps for you guys, so I hope you guys appreciate that. But to get started, you know, I want to give quick advice when it comes to this solo raid. First things first is don't feel discouraged. I know it might feel discouraging, especially if you're new, if you're not even getting past 1, if you're struggling even at 1. You know, solo raid is technically the end game for Nikke. So if you're new and you're just trying to do it, you know, it is very demanding. So, you know, don't feel discouraged by it. I honestly think you should use it as a benchmark. I've seen a lot of people use it as a benchmark to show how they improved between the past months to going forward. And I think that really does help. I feel like it is a good way to show your account improving. And remember that it is also demanding because you need 25 Nikkes, not counting for any caveats that solo raids have. And that's actually a perfect segue because in regards to the teams that I'm going to provide, there is some caveats with the teams. One of those caveats being that every one of my teams are going to involve a wind-coded Nikke. Now, the reason why you need a wind-coded Nikke is because the Kraken for this solo raid is weak to wind. And you need that for the times where the QTE involves you needing to use a wind ally to destroy them, or else you're going to get killed instantly, at least for challenge mode, right? And then also, I'm also going to have a healer, because most of the time, either you're going to be able to out-tank them with certain duos, or you're not going to be able to out-tank the damage and you're going to need a healer to help keep you alive. So bear that in mind. I will try to provide flexes and try to explain the teams that I have. However, there's only so much I can do in terms of flex, especially when some of those flex supports are going to overlap between each different team. So it can be a lot. Now also remember that mileage may vary with your teams. My teams might do better for me than they might do for you depending on investment. Or I might not talk about certain teams that I can use or certain Nikkes I can use because I do not have them invested. So I'll try to bring those up as I go, but just bear that in mind. Now to get started, let's head on over to solo raid real quick. And also, you know, let me know how you guys are doing with solo raid. How far have you gone with your stages? How far have you gone? Did you get to, you know, if you've gotten to challenge, what's the damage you've gotten or what stage? Let me know. You know, I really hope this helps, so let's get started. So the first team that I have here is actually going to be a crown-based team. The main Nikke that I really want you to try to have for this, which is going to be demanding, is having Crown. Crown is the main part of this because she is a broken support buffer. She is insane that adds a lot of DPS to any team you put her in. And I'm banking on this being my most damaged team, so that's why I also have Crown here. Now, you don't have to use Litter necessarily. You can obviously flex her for anybody. You could either put Volume here, you could put Dekiller Wife here if you want, depending on what you're going to use. But for this case, I'm going to be using Litter, because she's also the best I have in terms of a burst 1, because I do not have Dekiller Wife, and this team's not really good for Dekiller Wife, necessarily. And my wind-coated ally, I'm actually using Scarlet Black Shadow. Now, if you had Volume, you can honestly use Alice and Maxwell if you wanted to, so you don't have to waste another wind-coated ally. But for this team specifically, I'm using Scarlet Black Shadow with Alice. Now, this is very crucial because I really wanted to talk to you about something. And shout out to Sky for this. But when we talk about Alice, when we're talking about her skill 1, right here for her energizing carrot, it says, when entering full burst, this affects 2 ally units with the highest attack. Charge speed goes up 11.14% of the caster's charge speed for 10 seconds, and charge damage goes up 6.68% for 10 seconds. Now, this is really important because that charge speed, you know, obviously is going to help Scarlet Black Shadow because she's going to be the highest attack ally. So when it comes to this, when we actually go look, this is actually going to be affecting the charge time, meaning her charge speed is going to go up immensely. That charge speed percentage for Scarlet Black Shadow because of Alice is going to go way, way higher than if you were to use somebody else. So having them together is really, really good synergy and can output extra damage for Scarlet Black Shadow. So I highly recommend pairing them up and trying to invest more into your Alice if you're interested in that. That being said though, if you don't have Alice or if you don't have Scarlet Black Shadow, you could honestly put in Red Hood here and putting in another either wind-coated ally or putting in maybe like Maxwell or someone else. Just make sure you have a wind-coated ally, so maybe use Volume for a burst 1 if you do not have Scarlet Black Shadow or another wind-coated DPS. And as for a healer, the reason why I'm using Rapunzel here specifically is that I wanted to use not my best healer, but my second best healer, because the reason why this is important is that when we actually go look at Crown's skill 2, her skill 2 activates when recovery takes effect, and it affects all allies. Attack damage goes up 20.99% for 7 seconds. So that extra attack damage affects everybody. So making sure that she gets the full healing to try to proc her skill 2 is very important. And I don't want to use Naga because I wanted to use her for another team who need heals immensely. So I'm just using her to just try to at least proc her skill 2, but you know, just trying. And having her at the farthest left position by swapping Litter and Crown here will make sure that Crown is the priority when it comes to getting that recovery. Fun fact. So, you know, if you don't have Rapunzel, you could try putting in maybe Pepper as also a healer slash wind Nikke. So you can also try doing that if you want. You can use Naga if you really, you know, can't afford not using Rapunzel. You could put in Summer Mary for heals as well. There are some other healer Nikkes that you can use, so just keep that in mind. Now, for my team 2, I'm using Jackal, Summer Rosanna, Summer Sakura, Winter Ludmilla, and Noise. And as you can see, this team's already janky, because if I had the opportunity, I would absolutely swap Jackal with Volume. This team would very much benefit Volume, because Volume is a great CDR unit, and she will help Summer Rosanna with reduction for her burst, because she kind of takes a little bit longer, so having Volume would really help. And also, I'm using Noise here as kind of like a cop-out, because it takes forever for both Jackal and Rosanna, but to even get the burst started, you might as well at least get your first one going. So I'm using Noise as a taunt to try to take damage from the Kraken, but she also has enough investment that she can heal the team. So I don't mind having 2 burst 1s. It's not the most effective, I understand that, but this is what I'm working with, so I hope you understand. Now, as for replacements, I definitely think the main part of this team is Summer Rosanna and Summer Sakura for the sustained damage. So I don't think I can really offer flex replacements for them necessarily. Obviously, with the burst 1s, if you have an adequate healer other than Noise, you can try using them. And as for Jackal, obviously, I definitely think Volume is a better burst 1 for this scenario. As for Winter Ludmilla, she is very much a flex. However, the reason why I have her here in the first place is that she actually has a little bit of investment for her. And her burst itself is really good, which just increases attack a lot. And her reloading speed is insane. And she really helps destroy Kraken parts. So I'm using her just, you know, just to try to destroy just extra DPS. Now, you could probably put in someone like Modernia, maybe. This is honestly a flex. You could put in any other DPS that you know can try to, you know, provide additional DPS with Sakura. But you got to make sure that you can at least try to keep up with destroying the parts, especially with the sustain team. You want to make sure you're destroying as many parts as you can to keep that sustained damage going up. So just bear that in mind. Now, with my team 3, this one's a little bit iffy, so let me explain. So Doro, I have Doro here because she is very much not affecting Summer and Nice. I'll explain that in a second. I'm using Naga here because her healings are really going to help Scarlet. I have Summer and Nice. I have Drunken Scarlet, and I have D here. Now, if I can rework things a little bit different, I would have Dala maybe here. Now, this is a little iffy because I honestly think Dala would work here, and then I would use Normal Helm, because Normal Helm with her burst can provide healing for the team, which can actually help Scarlet, so you wouldn't have to use Naga here. But unfortunately, I do not have like a good invested Helm, so she cannot get the heals from the burst, and it's not worth it. So using her as a B2 and providing a lot of heals to Scarlet is my next best bet. And as for Burst 1 replacements, this is going to be very tricky because I think you can put any Burst 1 here. However, do not use Litter here if you are using Summer Anise. The reason why I'm saying that is because Summer Anise's gimmick is that she needs to have as low ammo as possible to maximize the most damage out of her. So if you put in the bunnies, Noir is going to increase max ammo, Litter is going to increase max ammo. So if you are going to use Litter, that means you need to replace one of the units with Privity to make sure that ammo is low enough. With this, you don't need Privity. You can use her if you want to, but you don't need to. And as for, you know, who to put here, you could either put in Guilty, you could put in Dala. I'm using D just because I'd rather use an SMG focused on the Kraken. D is not really going to be doing much except just helping out with the QTEs. And as for Scarlet, she does pair really well with Summer Anise. Same thing with Naga because they are all electric coated allies. And I believe Summer Anise's skill 1 actually is buffing electric coated allies. So it's just great synergy. Unfortunately, Scarlet kills herself in Minecraft. So you need a healer that can keep up with her, you know, healing reduction. So having Naga with the most, you know, I have her 10-10-10, so she's going to be able to keep up with Scarlet. That's what helps. As for replacements for anybody else, if you don't have Naga and you have a better healer, then definitely go for it. I feel like you could kill 2 birds with 1 stone and honestly have Pepper here. I feel like Pepper would be a good replacement. She'd be a healer and she'd be the code wind that you can use. And D, if you're using Pepper, you know, it's just a flex. Just make sure you have that wind-coated ally and that healer going, and you're good to go. I definitely think Dala could be a better spot here. I just don't, unfortunately, I do not have a well-invested Dala. I think I used to, but then I took away all her skills because she just kind of fell out of the meta for me. But it is what it is. Now, as for Team 4, this one's a little bit sad because if I had D Killer Wife, this team would feel a lot more confident for me. Unfortunately, I do not have D Killer Wife, and I'd rather use Volume here to try to maximize this team because this is also one of my best damage dealing teams. Volume, like I mentioned, is a CDR unit. So she's just going to do just overall great for the team. However, the bunnies, you honestly don't need this extra wind unit. You're better off putting her somewhere else. That's why I think this team is not perfect, because the bunnies are already wind coated, so you really don't need to worry about that. If you had D Killer Wife here, she would actually boost either Alice if you wanted to replace Red Hood because you don't have Red Hood, or just using Red Hood, because D Killer Wife has a piercing effect that can help boost Red Hood, or, you know, Alice, or any sniper really, that can increase her damage, and it would really work really well. And Noir is just a great, you know, wind shotgun, so she's just going to do extra damage against Kraken. It's really good synergy right there. However, as for Modernia, she's honestly a flex. She's just here to do constant DPS, you know, just constant damage. You can replace her with anybody if you want. You could put in Drake maybe, who, you know, whoever you want, whoever you can, honestly. The main focus is the bunnies here. You know, if you don't have Red Hood, you could probably put in Laplace maybe, and have, instead of Modernia, you could put Maxwell maybe if you can. Or, you know, not Alice, Snow White and Maxwell. You know, whatever you choose. And as for my Team 5 is very janky. This is my least performing team because they are not invested whatsoever. My most invested Nikke here is Pepper. And Pepper is here as just like because she's just perfect, in a perfect spot for this. Because remember, with Bunny Alice over here on the left, she needs to re-enter Burst 1, so she needs another Burst 1 Nikke to help her. So this is where Pepper comes in, because she'll be able to provide healing to the team, and she's going to be a part of the shotgun meta team, quote-unquote, and she's going to be able to do the QTEs, so she's perfect. Then we have Leona here, then we have Soda Bunny and Privity Maid. Now, honestly, this is just a huge flex team. You can honestly put, you know, Drake and Sugar here if you wanted to. I think the main part that you really probably want is just having Pepper, maybe. I don't know. Honestly, this team is kind of free reign to flex with. This is just a quote-unquote shotgun team at this point, because I replaced Tuve instead with Pepper. So, you know, this team is like just trying to work with like string here, you know what I mean? So, you know, overall, it's not perfect by any means, but it is what got me to a certain point. And I mean, with my teams, I got to what? 1.56%, 3.9 billion damage. So it's not perfect, but it got me somewhere deep. And word of advice, if you're actually, trying to find help, this is what helped me, is by looking at the top list, looking at what number 1 has, and then going from there to try to make your teams work. And as you can see, there is a lot of similarities between my team and a lot of the top players' teams. Now, like I mentioned, I don't have a well-invested Helm, I don't have a well-invested Snow White, or Guillotine, or Dollar, so that's why my teams look a little bit different than this, but that's what I mean. A good way to try to learn is to try to look at what the other people are doing and try to mess with your own teams to try to make them work for you. And, I hope this helps. I really do. And real quick, before we end it, what I actually want to do is try to go through a mock battle with you guys, kind of show you, like, what happens if you don't have a great team, what you got to watch out for, healing-wise, make sure you're, staying careful. So, let's just get right to it. I'm going to use my weakest team, just to give you an idea of, what you can go through if you're not using, like, a really, really well-built team, of what you're going to have to watch out for. I feel like this might be the best way, because if I use any other team, I'm going to be able to out-tank anything, so it won't be the best, representation. So let's just get started. So I'm going to be using Soda Bunny for now, but I'm going to get my, hands on the keyboard for when I have to go to Pepper, and then make sure you dodge those yellows. Those yellows that you see really quick at the top, you can't shoot them, so you just make sure you stay behind cover to take less damage, and try to destroy as many parts as you can to try to maximize your damage. Make sure you're shooting the missiles if you can't, take that much damage, but even then it won't be perfect. And when he does this wind thing, make sure you stay behind cover, because if not, that's going to really hurt, and you're going to die fast. So it's not perfect. And right here, go to your wind-coated ally when you see this yellow bubble, because it's time to do the QTE. And make sure you shoot it, and you're good to go. And make sure you keep just trying to keep the DPS up, staying careful with the yellows, and then going back and forth between cover for your Nikkes, shooting all the parts you can. It's the best way you can do it. Keep going behind cover. It kind of goes into a rhythm once you start playing it more between trying to stay in cover or not. But then sometimes you can forget, especially if you can out-tank it. But you get humbled a lot when you have like less DPS and stuff to try to out-tank it, which is unfortunate. And just again, stay behind cover so you can try to at least, tank that. At this point though, the Kraken's, shell is going to come off just like that. Right here, what you're going to want to do is actually swap to a Nikke that you can trust to shoot this part for the QTE. Do not shoot the white, only shoot the red. Be very careful, because if not, you will die instantly and fail this. So make sure you swap to someone you can rely on to shoot. Be careful with shotguns on that part. Now, he's going to come back up, and this is where you're going to end up just rinse and repeating this. Shooting all the parts, dealing with trying to get health back, and then just trying to, like, not get killed from all the damage he tries, throwing at you. You just got to be careful, because this is all you're going to be doing now. It's just going to be a constant DPS check and health check as well. So bear that in mind. That's all you're going to be doing now, just like that. Just going to be rinse and repeating. Make sure, like for me, I have to get Pepper out. So make sure you shoot those red with your wind-coated allies, and then from there, you're just going to keep doing that. And you're going to have to hide behind cover, and so on until the end. So, just quick tips, especially if you have, a not well-built team like this. That's just a perfect example of trying to, stay behind cover, using the right teammates to try to shoot certain things, just being careful. It's the best bet. But honestly, I think that's about it. It's not perfect, but I did, I do hope that really helps. I did, honestly, I tried my best. So, other than that, it's going to be it for me. I really hope it helped. And, let me know if any of this helps you improve at all. It's not perfect, it's messy, but I did try my best, so I hope you see that. But that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys have a lovely day, a lovely night wherever you're from, and thank you guys so much for the constant support. You guys are truly, truly the best community that I could ask for, so thank you.